The Progressive Caucus in Tshwane, led by the ANC, has confirmed that the planned motion of no confidence against the Tshwane Mayor, Cilliers Brink, has been temporarily withdrawn. The group made a U-turn after Brink approached the Pretoria High Court for an urgent interdict against the motion of no confidence planned for tomorrow. Now, several parties, including the ActionSA, ACDP and EFF, have confirmed their support for a motion against Brink. We're now joined to expand on this matter by Kwena Moloto, who's the DA Tshwane spokesperson. A very good evening to you, Kwena. Thank you so much for your time. There's been an about turn after the DA, your party, approached the Pretoria High Court for an urgent interdict against the motion of no confidence. What's your reaction to this?
No, look, we did approach the Pretoria High Court this morning to interdict the motions of no confidence that were submitted by the ANC that would have served in either today's council meeting or tomorrow's council meeting. The ANC has since withdrawn the motion, and so the interdict obviously falls away. The reason we did this, because there's case law that says that an urgent motion of no confidence would be unlawful inside an executive mayor. An executive mayor needs to have an opportunity to read through the reasons that political parties in council are calling for his removals or her removals, the failures, and so that there's a sufficient time to respond. We're a democratic house, and there should be engagements. Motions of no confidence shouldn't just be a political tool. So we are aware now that the motion will likely be brought inside the next 2 weeks, which will be in line with council rules, and so we will face that motion of no confidence. We won't be going to court. We believe that there's still a good chance that we will succeed, even though we were completely caught off guard by ActionSA in their U-turn.
Because ActionSA says its position in Tshwane is still under review, despite what the regional leadership says. So is that the basis of your understanding when you talk about the possibilities?
No, look, it's a very divided party, ActionSA, clearly. We had midday an announcement by the Caucus leader and by their Caucus spokesperson with the ANC, the EFF and ACDP to say that they would be supporting the motion. And then a few hours later, we were informed that statements were released by the provincial leader of ActionSA, the national chairperson of ActionSA, to say that a review is still ongoing. So, the party seems to be very divided, but we felt very caught off guard. As a coalition government, we were aware that the review is taking place, which is well within the rights of ActionSA to do. But it's starting to feel as if the decision has already been predetermined, and we feel that the multi-party government in Tshwane has been delivering services to residents, and that ActionSA just last month released a statement speaking about the stability that exists inside the city of Tshwane, talking about how this multi-party government is rooting out corruption, that residents are feeling the effects. And so it feels that this U-turn has nothing to do with service delivery as they're purporting. It seems to be political maneuvering at the expense of the residents of Tshwane.
Political maneuvering. I see in a statement by the DA that you feel betrayed by a power-hungry party. Should we now perceive that description as a show of wrestling, or perhaps an indication of why ActionSA could be leaving, and also related to the relationship that the party has with the DA? Because you make mention of divisions.
Yeah, no, definitely. I believe that inside the end of the day, the reason that ActionSA is doing this is about power. When you look at the comments that are being made by Herman Mashaba on Twitter, he speaks about teaching the DA lessons. We're not inside an SRC. We're not in high school. We're talking about the capital city, and to be using the lives of millions of residents to seem to settle political scores that Herman might have with the DA at a national level, to me is completely unacceptable. And it does seem like a very divided party. We're getting mixed messages from their local structures, provincial structures, national structures. And I think that this is a miscalculation on behalf of ActionSA. I think it's going to hurt them inside the 2026 elections, because I think that everyone can see this for what it is. Last month, as I said, it was the same Caucus spokesperson that came out to say how excited he was to remove Executive Mayor Cilliers Brink. Just a month ago, talked about how stable the city is, and now intends on bringing EFF into government in Tshwane. And we've seen the effects that the EFF have had in government in the likes of Nkuruleni, with the MMC of Finance, with security contracts in Nkuruleni. And so it's very unfortunate that the lives of the residents of the city of Tshwane are being played with by Herman Mashaba and ActionSA.
Yeah, more so because ActionSA is saying that the decision to leave the coalition with the DA is to ensure that the people get service delivery. I mean, big contradictions here, as you make mention of what happened just a month ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was inside their own words. And I can't emphasize that enough, that they spoke about the stability that exists in Tshwane, that we're rooting out corruption, and that residents are starting to see services. Even, for instance, with Hammanskraal, residents of Hammanskraal who haven't had clean drinking water. It's been an issue that's existed even pre-2016. Inside the next month, we're seeing the rollout of clean drinking water in Hammanskraal. We are getting things done as a multi-party government. And until today, we were still under the belief that we would work with ActionSA up until 2026, because while we were aware of their review process, we felt that the merits of what we've been able to achieve together inside the city of Tshwane, in their own words, would be reason enough to continue with this working relationship. Yeah. And we didn't think that national party politics would get in the way of the work that we've done. So it is very unfortunate. But as I said, I do believe that ActionSA will be punished by voters in 2026, because you can't be U-turning. I mean, I've seen even inside the illegal strike that happened, they flutter inside the political wind, and people want to vote for parties that are grounded inside principles. And
we're learning that ActionSA is saying that their position in Tshwane is still under review. So, I mean, what does that mean to you? How do you interpret that?
Well, as I said, firstly, I think that it's a very divided party. However, I believe that Funzi Ngobeni, their provincial leader, and Michael Beaumont, when they came out with their statements, were simply trying to cover up for a predetermined outcome. And I believe that their local leaders jumped the gun, but it was a decision that had already been made. And as I said, for us, we've got, as a coalition government, methods and internal structures to deal with conflict, to deal with any issues that may arise, and they haven't used those. We found out, just like the rest of South Africa, via a press briefing, that they intended on leaving. So it will be interesting to see what happens over the past few days. In the end of the day, we're very clear that we want to put the residents of Tshwane first. We still believe that there's a lot that we can do together, potentially, but if needs be, without them. We can't be held prisoners. The residents of Tshwane can't be held hostage by Herman Mashaba and the national leadership. And as I said, it's very unfortunate, given the fact that I think all the residents of Tshwane know that things are starting to turn around in the capital city.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. Wrapping that up with Kwena Moloto, who's the DA Tshwane spokesperson, as we continue to keep a very close eye on the story.